Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to look at production driven versus consumer driven companies. Companies have different views about the role of marketing. Companies, like any group of people, have their own culture, and this can be very different from one company to another, especially with smaller companies. The culture is mostly set by the person who started the company. They're the one who had a vision of what the company could do and what it could be. In older companies, ownership may have been passed on to sons and daughters. Maybe they aren't involved much in the business, so the strongest influences are the senior employees. So let's look at some different company cultures. Professionals can recognize companies with different cultures based on the background of the people who started it. Companies started by accountants tend to be very risk conscious and profit conscious. They focus on these things. Companies started by salespeople tend to be very sales focused, often without focusing on how profitable the sales are. They are always chasing the next sale, and administration can be chaotic. Companies started by engineers always have the best equipment, even if a cheaper machine could also do the job. In larger companies, these issues are much less noticeable because there's a mix of employees from different professions. What has this got to do with marketing? There are two main kinds of company cultures when it comes to marketing: customer-focused companies and production-focused companies. And the different types ask themselves different questions about marketing. So firstly, consumer-focused companies. They ask themselves, what does the customer want that we can make? Following this, they probably do a lot of customer surveys to find out what customers want. When they get the answer, they ask themselves, how can we make that? The answer might mean changing the design of their product, changing the machines that they use to make it, or how they deliver it to the customer. When they redesign the product from time to time, they ask the customer, what can we do to improve the product? Now, production-focused companies. They look at what they make already and ask themselves, how are we going to sell this? They find groups of people who want to buy what they make. When they redesign the product from time to time, they ask themselves, what can we do to improve the product? And they have different attitudes towards the marketing people within the company. In consumer-focused companies, the marketing people have very high status and power. They tell the production people what to make. They are the link between the customer and the business, and the customer drives everything. In production-based companies, the production people have more power than the marketing people. They decide what to make and tell the marketing people, go out and sell it. So here's an example of a customer-focused business. Many small businesses are very customer-focused. It's a way that they can take customers away from bigger businesses. If you go to their shop once every week, they will get your favorite brand of coffee, even if they have to buy 100 at one time, and it will take them many weeks to sell them all. If you go there a lot, they will probably know your name and a lot about you. Here's an example of a production-focused business. The Karen Weavers. They don't change their product according to what customers want. They produce traditional designs and then they find people who want to buy them. In recent years, they've moved a bit away from this and listened to the customers' demand for more modern designs, but the patterns on the cloth are still traditional. So which is right and which is wrong? It's not a simple black or white question. The best outcome is a middle way where neither side dominates. So let's now look at the downsides of each position. So now we're going to look at the downside of a customer-led approach. Firstly, not all customers want the same thing. For example, Microsoft brings out Windows 11. Some customers are quick to install it. Others are happier to stay with Windows 10, which they know well. If they change to Windows 11, they will need to relearn how to do things they already know how to do in Windows 10. So, what is the customer-focused approach? If people at the company answer this question, it stops being a customer-focused exercise. It's just the people at the company guessing what the customer wants. Customers often say what they would like and not what they can afford. So, for example, if you ask a customer what kind of computer they want, they will say fast internet, good graphics for games, excellent speakers, lightweight, and so on. In other words, they want a very expensive computer, which they probably can't afford. If the business listened to this and built a lot of top-end computers, it might not be able to sell any of them. Where there are new technologies or products involved, customers may not be able to picture how it will work. For example, can you imagine a conversation in 1990 about Facebook? The researcher asks the customer, what would you think about software which allowed you to show your friends a picture of what you were eating for dinner? And the customer would say, why would I want to do that? In summary, the answers businesses get from asking customers are often unclear and confusing. Normally, the business's marketing people then try to interpret them and pick out the main points. The result is not what the customer said, it's somebody's idea of what they said. A different person might look at the same customer answers and interpret them differently. Profits. There is an assumption with the customer-focused approach that the business can deliver what the customer wants at a cost they are happy to pay and make a profit from it. This is a huge assumption. There is no logic that says that will be true. It's just an act of faith. There is an associated belief that says if we deliver what the customer really wants, not what the other sellers are selling, the customers will desert their present sellers and come to us. Again, this is an act of faith. Remember the example about what kind of computer customers want. There's a difference between what they want and what they can afford. Conclusion: the customer-led approach is full of pitfalls. They can be overcome by good management. How successful it is may depend on the industry and factors like how much new technology affects it. Okay, now let's look at the production-led approach. The biggest problem is not listening to customers. The production-led approach focuses on efficient production, cost control, and profits. A typical view would be, by efficient production, we can make our product cheaper than other businesses, and so achieve good market share and profitability. How can you say that we don't deliver what the customer wants when our market share is strong? Another problem is that what customers want doesn't always stay the same. Think about mobile phones. What customers wanted from a mobile phone in 2005 and what they want now are different. It doesn't matter how efficient you are at making 1G phones, no one wants them anymore. What happened to Nokia, the king of 1G phones? They're just a small player now. So, production-led companies are also often accused of putting profit before customers. So imagine this situation. Your business has 5 products. Each product has an investment of 1 million baht. Profit per annum is as it shows in the table. Product 1, 200,000. Product 2, 150,000. Product 3, 250,000. Product 4, 50,000. And product 5, 100,000. So the most profitable one is product 3, the least profitable one is product 4. If the business puts profit before customers, the accountant might say, why don't we stop making product 4? We'll use the 1 million baht that we have invested in product 4 in product 3 instead. And our profit will increase by 200,000 baht. That is the difference between the 250,000 they'll get from more product 3 minus what they'll lose by not making product 4 anymore. As long as there's enough demand for product 3, they can repeat this until they only have one product. So they would stop making products 1, 2, 4, and 5. So imagine that products 1 to 5 were different models of car made by the same company. It might upset the customers of the products they don't make anymore, because the value of their car will go down and it will become harder to get spare parts for it. Imagine if Microsoft said, we've brought out Windows 11, so you have to stop using Windows 10. We will stop supporting it from tomorrow. This would save Microsoft all the money they spend supporting Windows 10, but it would upset a lot of customers. So the production-led businesses need to recognize the needs of customers. So it's not an either-or situation. We either be production-led or we'll be customer-led. It's a balancing act. You have the blue line on the screen there, at the left-hand side production-led, at the right-hand side customer-led. You don't have to be at one end or the other end. You can be in the middle with a balance between the two. Too far to the right and profit may be low. They may believe that it will come in future if they can get sales today, but low profits now means not much money to invest in making the business bigger. Too far to the left, production end, and the business produces what it wants to produce, not what the customers want to buy. And eventually someone else will recognize the customer's dissatisfaction and take them away. So conclusion, there is no correct place on the line that all companies should aim for. The best place is different for different companies, or even for the same company at different times. There should be a balance between the production team and the marketing team. The most successful companies are ones where these two teams know and understand each other's point of view, even if they don't always agree. If they're not well balanced, there is an opportunity for management to improve the balance and so improve profits. Running on the shoulder. If you watch long distance running races or horse races, you will see that often the runner or the horse that leads for most of the race is not the winner. Very often there are horses or runners who are just behind the leader and ready to overtake him or her near the end of the race. This is called running on the shoulder, as they are close to his or her shoulder waiting for the right time. In business, many companies don't want all the problems that come from being the most customer-focused company. They let some other company do that. And as soon as they see that the new idea is successful, they do the same thing. If the new idea fails, they don't copy it. This is running on the shoulder, and it's used a lot by businesses. For example, Samsung. They leave Apple to do all the customer research and create new products like iPad. And then, if the new products are successful, they make a similar product. Samsung makes tablets to do all the things that iPads can. Their production side is strong so that they can quickly make a new product. Apple will have a short time when they are the only seller, and they can make big profits in that time. But soon, Samsung will be selling a similar product, and usually for a cheaper price. Samsung don't need to do all the research, they just watch what Apple does and copy if it works. If it doesn't work, Apple will lose money, but Samsung won't. So why is this important for me? If you work in a business, it's important to know where on the line between production focused and customer focused the company is. If you're working in marketing or production, you can talk to your workmates in other departments and help to understand each other's point of view. If you think your company is at the wrong place on the line, you can work towards improving it. Since about 1980, there's been a new kind of company that has appeared called the brand company. In its purest version of this type of company, the company doesn't produce, it doesn't make anything, it has no factories. It's very good at marketing, but it doesn't market individual products. It markets its brand. The company wants to persuade the buyer that they will always buy something from that brand, not from other brands who might sell the same thing. Companies like Nike want you to automatically buy a Nike t-shirt if you're looking for a t-shirt, and never think about buying one from a different brand. They might also sell Nike branded cola or have a Nike branded sports arena. Once they've persuaded their target market that their brand is cool, they can choose what products to use the brand on. They will choose products that are consistent with their brand image and will make them big profits. Nike wouldn't, for example, sell a Nike branded hearing aid because it doesn't want its brand to be associated with old people. It also doesn't make the cola or the t-shirts. It gets other companies to make them as cheap as possible. Has no factories of its own. Because they don't make t-shirts or cola themselves, they can buy it from whoever will charge them the lowest price. This usually means they make more profit than if they made it themselves, unless they are the lowest cost producer. Also, if next year a different company is cheaper, they can switch to them. They have no loyalty, very few workers, and customers who think it's cool to buy their product. And this is the end, my friend. See you next time.